Alex, we work in the field of adult learning, and we've been talking about a lot of those themes as we've been, the last few videos. Now, one of the things that you hear a lot of in this world is you hear the phrase 70, 20, 10, and it's often thrown around as a piece of jargon. So, I know it's important in the world of education, adult education. So, what is it? What does it mean?
So it's really interesting to hear that 70-20-10 phrase, because it's been, used for a long time now. The work was from the 1970s originally. And the thing about it is that it's real. I mean, it really is true. And what it means is that 70% of the things that change happen because of what happens back in the workplace.
Hmm.
And 20% of the things that create that change happen because of the way that you are supported in the workplace. And only 10% of the things that change in your behavior as a result of training happen because of what happens in the classroom. Now, those of you who are listening who have heard of that will know that already. But it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you think about running a training business, which in the simplest of terms, that's what we do. Therefore, training only features in around about 10% of the change. And that is in itself almost like a contradiction in terms.
Hmm.
But what it is actually fundamental to our learning design. And if you want to be successful in adult learning, in training and learning in the corporate world, you need to really embrace this fact and understand that if you don't embrace this fact, nothing's going to change.
So it's interesting. So we obviously work in mostly the 10. Now we could take what you just said as being a bit demoralizing, really, given that there's so much else out there that's really important. But I guess most of the people who might be watching this are going to be coming from the corporate world and often over rely on the 10. So what does it mean to them around the 70 and the 20? So what are some of the things that they need to think about to make the max of the 10% that we would give?
If I reflect on, the 20 plus years that we've been in business, 24th year now, and think about the amazing clients that we worked with, and also think about where the work that we have done has made a real difference to the culture in that business. And now, fortunately, that happens frequently, but it doesn't happen all the time. First of all, we'll come back to the 70 and 20 in a second. First of all, the 10 has to be spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think about the 10 as an ignition in the true sense of the word. You are setting something on fire in terms of change.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole, load of stuff behind that needs to happen to make that work properly. That's not the focus for this video. The focus for this video is actually, so what happens next? And there are many, many things, but for an organization to really embrace this, they need to expect to see that behavior day to day on the ground, instinctively, and as part of what they do. In other words, as natural as breathing. Now, to get there, that's going to, take time, but it's also going to take an awful lot of other things. So specifically, the 20 is an important part of that. The 20 is what the line managers, coaches, however you want to dress that word up, how they behave with the rest of the people in the business, so that their behavior change is supported both in a nurturing way, but also in an expected way. In other words, what you measure gets done. So therefore, what you're expecting people to do is rewarded in some kind of way, shape, or form. That could be just informally, or it could be more formally. So, that behavior is expected. So therefore, it shows up in the business more likely, supported by those coaches and ignited by whatever that training intervention might be.
So I guess in summary, yes, of course, the 10%, which is the world that we normally inhabit, is super important. But if you want to maximize the return on investment, both in terms of the behavior and what you're looking to achieve from any training, of course, the cash investment as well, you've really got to focus on that, the bit when they come back to the workplace, the 20 and the 70.
Absolutely right. And just closing it with the role that a provider like us might have in that, it's not enough just to provide the 10. What you've got to do is you've got to provide the tools and the ease of access for everything else to happen back in that workplace. So whether it's e-learning or whether it's online tools or other kind of metrics that we can help people put into place to make sure that that becomes part of what they do. That's a really important part of the package as well. So yeah, that 10% that happens in the classroom, really, really important, but it's the downstream things that happen that are going to make the change.